Okay. So let's just get started. So I don't know if they gonna come join to the meeting, but I'm going to start the class today. Remember from the last 2 weeks that I talk about the mini assignment, which is you required to join to the meeting like just 2 hours. Okay, and after you join to the meeting, it's up to you. If you want to do the record, you can record it. If you just join and you can take note, but I want the report. Okay, there are a lot of sessions. So you just join one session is okay, the one that you're interested in. So, and after that, just submit me the report, okay, of what you have learned about this one. For those who are interested in network security, I just want to remind you that for this kind of the cybersecurity meeting, there are going to be a lot of companies that they try to sell a lot of products. It's quite good for you guys to have a knowledge of what are they selling out there, what product can do for you. But there are less knowledge about like very, very pure knowledge. Like for example, how are we going to do like the encryption algorithm with mathematics? But one of the good thing is, so you're going to learn what happened out there and how to protect your security on the organization and what product can be used to do that. So it's quite good for first year or third year or undergrad student. Okay, so yes, of course, it's on 17 and 18. This is on on 15 and 15. Okay, which is you going to join in the afternoon. So next week we can skip the class, but your class is to join to the conference and come back with the report. Come back with the report. It's actually just, I require you to join on 14 and 15. Just 2 hours is session. So on this session here, for example, some of the session, if you don't want to pay that much attention, is okay. For example, PDPA, you know PDPA, right? It's the new law of personal security. If you know that already, yeah, doesn't matter if you don't want. But if you interested, you can join the PDPA session. So I wanted you to join for 2 days. Okay, 2 days and make a conclusion at least one product or one session you have learned. Or if you're interested more, you can come back with more sessions that you join. That one going to be an assignment. Okay, and there are a real meeting is real conference on 17 and 18. I just know that the one that joined to the conference, they going to give away like 500,000, like iPhone, like some of the IT stuff, a lot of things that they going to give away, like $500,000 or something. So if you can join, you might have the lucky draw for the new iPhone or whatever. So this one is 100,000. Yeah, I thought that is 5,000. So this 100,000 is you have to go to the contest, but they are the lucky draws as well. I heard that they are lucky draw. You just join to the conference. You just check it out. Lucky draw. You just join to the conference. You have the lucky draw. Okay, this one is not required, but it's going to be good if you can go. Just good if you can go, okay? For this one. Okay, but all of you are required to go to this one. So today after the class, you have to register them. I don't want one of you to miss because the space is filled up. I have told you 2 weeks earlier, since they plan, they actually planned like 4 or 5 months ago, but you're supposed to be able to join. So next week, we don't. Actually, we cannot say that we don't have a class, but your class is going to be on this one. So we see each other again after next week, okay? So you join to this meeting. Okay. Now, come back to the one that we're going to study today. The one that we're going to study today is the network monitoring. Okay, when we talk about network monitoring, there are 2 things that we want to monitor, which is firstly, we monitor the network performance. The second, we monitor network security. So today we're talking about an idea or the overview of network monitoring, and after that, we will talk about the last time that I give you to download the second year of community network or network command. So I'm going to explain some of the network command. And finally, I'm going to end up with one of the protocol called DSCP. Do you know DSCP? Do you know the protocol called DSCP, the Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol? Super basic protocol, right? So last week, we learned about one of the protocol called the ARP, right? So I explained the protocol and I point out that the ARP have the weak point that the hacker can take advantage of this weak point, which is, for example, the name cut on the ARP, right? Or basically, many hackers, they call this one called the ARP poisoning, right? So this week, we talk about one of the protocol called DSCP. And we learn how the protocol works. And I will point out the thing called man in the middle and the DSCP poisoning as well. Okay, this is I'm going to point out the weak point of this simple protocol. And we're going to talk of how to protect it as well. So from week to week, I'm going to come up with basic protocol that we normally use. Okay, we're going to study the protocols as well on top of the knowledge that you're going to learn for the field. Okay, let's just get started for today. I'm going to stop sharing. Share. Okay, quite good. I can see the screen here. It's quite good. So today, the third topic that we're going to talk is called the monitoring and the measuring. So I have noted now. I think I'm not going to subscribe the membership for the Norton anymore. It's annoying. It's It's like the Polaroid mode for the northern. Okay, let's just get back to the class. So in the presentation, it's actually, I told you already. Okay, we're going to talk about kind or why we need the network monitoring and some of the tools and the bandwidth monitoring technique and some of the service. But I'm not going to go for how to set it up, the monitoring tools, but I'm going to explain or give you an idea of some tools that if you might need in the future, you can install that one on your computer yourself. Or if you really want to study more, you can download the lab sheet that provided to you. I explained a lot in more detail. It's been many years that they put a lot of information in the lab sheets as well. It's almost a book. So you can download and to study that one as well for further study. Okay, let's get started. Why do we need to monitor? Okay, we normally, that I told you, we need to monitor two things. The first thing that we monitor is we monitor the performance of the network. So another thing that we monitor is we monitor the security of the network. To monitor the performance of the network is one of the very old monitor technique that most of the network admin have to keep in mind that we need to monitor the network to be able to say that, hey, this is time for us to upgrade the network. Or we need to monitor the server. Hey, this is time to upgrade the server. Hello? Okay. This is time to upgrade the server. Or hey, this is time to change something in the server. So basically, performance of the whole network, there need to be monitored and keep record. I give you one example. Okay. It's almost like 15 years ago. I was one of the consulting of a company, and I actually helped them to take care of the network too. Okay. So I normally went to that company I thought that is on like 5 days, half days. In the morning, I normally go there very early. I walk to the network room, talk with the admin, okay, drink coffee with him, and so on and so forth. But after one night, I have the meeting with the software teams as well until late. So I have lunch with some of the owner of the company before I left back to the unit during that time. So basically, I discuss weekly by meeting. But 1 week, I went there earlier, went to the network room, sit on the table, have coffee with their admin guys. They always complain about user is normal, but accidentally I spot out the server is the database server. They don't have the network monitor. They don't have the network monitoring tools or software to monitor. But luckily, I spot out that the server had the red spot warning that the hard disk, one of the hard disks is failed. For the server, when we design, you learn how to design the server yet. So when we design the server, we normally design the server like two things. The first thing, we design the server as a mirror, which is mean we have two hard disks. Whenever that we save on a hard disk, it will be back up into the another hard disk, right? If one of the hard disk dead, we have to take the hard disk out and replace with the new one. It's just simple. So that one is called mirror. So when one of the hard disks have an error or fail, they're going to have a one LED light, the red spot big all the time. So when I spot out, I say that it's serious. Most of the server have this we call hot swap. You know what hot swap means? We can swap it out and put the new one in, and the server system will be propagate or back up the data to the new one. So on that day, I suggest to the admin, hey, this one have to be repaired by the end of this week, or the sooner is the better. And it's required to repair it two of them. Why two of them? So when you spot the million hard disk, one fail, another one still working, why we need to repair both of them? The server for 5 years old. And when the HP server come up from the company, these two hard disks is almost consequent, or the secret number is like just one secret number more. So it means that these two hard disks come up with the same factory, same company, and continuous secret number of the hard disk. And it's turned on at the same time for 5 years. If one fails, it's more likely that the other one might fail soon, right? If you use two cars and you like two cars all together at the same time, like the hard disk, if one car have the problem, another car might have the same problem soon, right? So it's normally I request, I told the admin that, hey, repair the hard disk as soon as possible, but at least by the end of this week or next week, two hard disks need to be repaired. Another 2 weeks, I went back to the company again. Normal routine, have the coffee, talk with the admin. So the first thing I want in my mind, I look at that server and say that, hey, how was the hard disk replacement? But after I spot, I still have the red light blinking. So I said, hey, this is serious. It's almost 2 weeks. I skip 1 week and I come another week. It's almost 2 to 3 weeks already. I told you to replace 2 hard disks. He said that he told the owner of the company already and they will buy soon. After that, I walked to talk with the owner of the company. Hey, this is quite serious. The server is the building server. You know what building server means, right? So it's going to keep whatever that the supplier bill to the company, and the company have to pay to the supplier. And you know, the company is the construction company. And the revenue or the income of the company that the server kept, you know how much? 2,000 billion baht. It's quite a big company. You know how much for the hard disk doing that have? It's about 15,000 baht each. It's quite expensive, but it's not quite expensive compared to the sizing of the company. 30,000 baht is not that expensive at all. You have to imagine the server kept the building information of the supplier for more than 2,000 million baht. So I talked to the owner and said that this one is quite serious. It has to be repaired. He said that, okay, I'll speak that, don't worry. I didn't go there for 2 weeks because I have the auditing to do. But after 2 to 3 weeks, I got a phone call. I need help. The server went down. two of the hard disk went down. Now it's super serious because most of the building system for the supply of parts has stopped. And they cannot pay the bill or receive the things. And all of the information are in there for the whole years. So I went there and said that we cannot do anything. So I tried to figure it out. I cannot figure it out. What we did, we sent both of the hard disk to Singapore and them to fix it. And that one cost, you know, how much? 200,000 baht, 200,000. And what we got back is less than 50% of the data. So the company stuck for almost 2 months, and we have to lend almost 20 computers, and we have to hire 20 or it's actually 30 data input to re-input the whole building back to the system with 2 new hard disks. And totally it's cost almost $1 million to bring back everything. It's just a 2 months without paying more attention on the network performance or the boarding or top of the monitors. That is the cost to bring back everything, not including other delay cost for the company. The company buying things more than 1,000 million baht. It's construction company, they are nothing that they have to buy. That one is, we call it disaster. So mostly when we monitor to tell that the network performance need to be improved or some of the server need to be taken care or some of the network device need to be taken care. That one called the performance monitors, okay? The next thing that we monitor, which is we're going to talk about a software to monitor or to check out the network security, which is mainly nowadays. There are many companies, this is normally they are outsourced Thai company and they outsource to the foreign company for the thing called the pen test. Have you ever heard about the pen test? The penetration test. So most of the companies they are in the set index. We normally call the stock market. Many of them are required to times a year to audit for the security audits. And each time, and 2 times is cost of more than $500,000 baht for the audit. One of the bad things is, I don't know why they have the law that they have to be the foreign company to audit the things. And the foreign company, they don't even have that much staff to audit. They hire also a local in Thailand to audit. Use normal software that we might learn too. And send the report to them. And they just reformat the report and they charge $500,000 each time that they audit to the company. So it's called the network security. It's actually the network security monitor. We have other techniques too. This is you're going to learn next week. For those who just come, remember you need to submit the report after next weeks. Okay, for the conference that you have to join for 2 days on 15 and 14 and 15. So next week, we're not going to have the class in the school, but your class will be in the conference that you have to join. And if you have more time, you can join the real conference. If you register, you might be one of the lucky draw for free iPhone 14 and things. Yeah, they give away a lot of fancy stuff if you join. Okay, and for the report, I'm going to tell the report again for those who just join, and after this, ask your friend to come and have a look at the video. Okay. For those who just joined to the conference, join to the class, okay. The report, you need to attend 2 days for the conference, okay. If you cannot, you can ask some of your friends to do a video record, and after that, you can come back and have a look at the video record. Make sure that you register today. I don't want you to come back. Ajahn, I'm sorry, the space was full before I registered. We joined 2 reports. The report, the conclusion report of the topic that they presented. So if they probably have 30 topics, but you just list the topic that they presented. Normally they're going to give you the topic that they have. But I just will list the topic first and say what topic that you are interested in the report. At least you have to make a conclusion on one topic as well that you're really interested. Okay. If you're interested more, you can make more for the report. Of course, you get more score on the reports as well for more topic or for more information that you can give for the conference in these 4 hours. So next week, the class is not here. The class is on the conference. You don't have to come to the school if you want. So if you want to go to join the conference with your girlfriend or boyfriend on 14, like Valentine's days, super romantic. Yes, super romantic, believe me. Will you take your girlfriend to go to the conference? Okay, let's just get continue. Okay, so we're talking about the first thing that we go to monitor. First thing that we monitor is network performance. How are we going to define the network performance? The bandwidth first. So we normally have to define what value that we go to monitor. So one of the very important thing to tell that your network has performance or not, the performance of your network is almost like full. So we monitor the bandwidth. For example, remember that I told you about one of my friends that they are the manager long time ago, 15, 16 years ago, the manager of call center. Did I tell you? Did I tell you? The manager of call center. No, not yet. Okay. Basically, almost 16 years ago, one of my friends, he was the manager of call center. The call center is just normal. They have 50 computers, 50 something, let's say 50 computers, and the computers are running application. And whenever that the car have the accident, they're going to call to the call center, and the employee in front of this computer going to key the license plate of the car that have the accident or whatever. And it will pop up the information, so on and so forth. During that time, they normally have like half or 20 something of the computer online. The other, they not online. But they say that for like long weekend, they might like fully occupy like 50 computer during the weekend or long weekend because they have an accident. So normally they have like half 25 computer online with the workers. During that time, they have 2 megabit per second of the internet link, very slow. And my friend said that we have the problem because the user always complain that it's too long for the user when on the phone, and the data that come up from the computer is very slow because it's 2 megabit per second. And he said that he planned to update into 2 megabit per second, and he will tell me later. Another week, he called me, the company updated into 4 megabit per second already, 2 lines with the load balances. And he said that we still have the same experience, very slow response to access into the information from the server. So I went to the call center. It's not in the headquarters. They have another build their own call center. So I got a look of the application. The application is normally what? You normally put the license plate or the, I don't know how to call that one in English, is the insurance number. In Thai, they call กรมธรรม์ number. กรมธรรม์ เลขกรมธรรม์ So whatever the number, so you can put it to as an input, and they will take the information from the server and display on the screen. I said that I can measure the things in this one, but 4 megabit per second, 20 computer, and each information that you access from the server. We're not talking about megabit per second. We're talking about kbit per second. It's all text files. So I told my friend it's going to be some problem. Do you have network monitoring that you monitor the traffic inside your call center? The answer is, what is the network monitoring? So yeah, I know that they know nothing. So I put the network monitoring to monitor incoming and outgoing of the traffics. After 1 week, you know what happened? I went back and correct the data. After I saw the data, I know what happened. That I would call the network monitoring. I tell you what happened. So my friend told me that if there are more problems in this week, I'm going to put more incoming link another 2 megs and extend that one into 6 megabit per second. But what I find out was 95% of the traffic is not used for the company business. There are a lot of movies. It's been downloaded. 70% of the movie are porn or XXX movie with many MP3 song download during that times. So it means that the user or the employer, while they are sitting in front of the computer, during that time they use MSN. The company allow them to pay allow with the internet just in case if they don't have any work. So they open up, pay allow with the internet. They have download computer. Many of the computer, they start to download the video back home to enjoy after their working hours. But 95% of the network has been used for the video download. So once I know what happened, I told my friends, this is bad. If they download the porn movie they supposed to share with me too. I said, share what? Yeah, of course. It's not going to make any change, even you extend into 100 megabit per second. Why? Because the peer-to-peer file downloads is going to dominate the network performance at all time. And there are more than 20 IP computer download. It means that it's almost all of them are download the movie all the times. So one know how to download, they tell the other friend, the other friend, the other friend. Some download MP3 song, some download movie. So it doesn't matter if he or my friend keep increasing the network capacity, the upcoming incoming lead from the ISP. They're not going to share anything. The only thing that they share is what? They share the amount of the movie that the worker or the employee take back home. They can enjoy more movie rather than one movie a day or one movie per 2 days during that time. They can have 2 or 3 movies a day to enjoy after they go back. So that's why we need network monitoring to monitor what happens as well. The performance is depend on how good of the bandwidth of class, but it's depend on the policies as well. Basically talking about the policy after next week. After that, my friend asked me to come to set up one of the training days and asked me to follow them. I said that I'm not going to do that. I can send some of my students to do that. Because if you share something, hey, stop downloading the movie, it's the company policy. What happened? Why? I normally download 2 or 3 movies, go back home every day. Why suddenly you say that I cannot download the movie? So you force them to do something, to share them, is you will get some negative feedbacks. Okay. So we monitor the bandwidth. We also have to monitor the other things as well. This means how the user using the network. So to monitor, we normally do monitor statistics of the network, how the user use the network, what is the maximum throughput per times, and we might also, today I'm going to give you the idea of some of the software to do the network mapping or to find the inventory of the network as well. Okay. We talk about that one later. So if we find out the network performance problem, yeah, of course we can upgrade it. Or we can come up with a better policy to enforce the user. How many in this room are living in the dormitory? The dorm. You have to share the network or you have your own network. You have to share the network, right? If you share the network with like 100 rooms and they have one incoming link to the internet, and if many of your friends in that dormitory are download the torrent file or peer-to-peer files, so what happened? The network will be very slow, right? It's the same. So if you are living in dormitory or some place that you have to share a network with online, they will come up with the policy or the rules that something you cannot use, or if you want to download the torrents, you have to download midnight to 3 a.m. so on and so forth. So we call that is the policy or set up the rule to live with others. The next 2 weeks talking about boring things policy, but this week talking about network monitoring first. So how are we going to measure the bandwidth? There are a lot of tools that we can monitor the bandwidth. Okay. For example, have you ever heard MRTG? PRTG? We're talking about that one. To monitor the bandwidth, we have to separate that one into two, the bandwidth and the throughput. So what bandwidth mean? The bandwidth means the maximum capacity of the network by theory. We rarely get to the maximum because most of the time when we send the data on the network, we always have the order factor that cause affected on the speed to send the data. So we normally talking about throughput, which is the amount of the data that we can deliver per second during that time. Okay, during that time. I give you some of the example. The MRTG. For example, if the ISP tell you that they're going to give you 200 megabit per second for the internet connection. How do you know that you always get the bandwidth? How many of us have the internet at home? How do you monitor that you get the maximum of the bandwidth that the ISP told you? Yeah, one of the monitoring tool called speed test is how many of us have ever used the speed test? Yes, of course, I asked you to install and use the speed test before, right? So that one is one of the tools to use to monitor the throughput. And we compare that, hey, this is the amount of the data that you can download during this time compared to the bandwidth or the maximum the ISP told you. If it's very close, we say that, yeah, okay, right? But that one is during the time. We have the other one called like the MRTG software. This is the normally keep monitoring all the terms. And you can see that the MRTG, okay? For example, the maximum bandwidth that this company get is might be like 4 megabits per second. Very open, very old data. But it's keep monitoring, you see, it's keep monitoring the data for the whole days and record that one. This is real network monitoring because we monitor and we have to do what? Do statistics or monitor and keep the data as well, right? We can use the monitoring tool called speed test. It's quite good, but after that, you not keep the data. So normally when we monitor, we have to keep the data according to the time base as well. So MRTG is the same, but they keep the time base. We have the other softwares as well that can monitor and keep the database. But we build up the statistic. So you can see that this company, okay, you can see that this company, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is normal, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, what happened? Yeah, nobody working is normal, right? But if the admin spot out Saturday and Sunday, the bank is peak out, it's weird. Now we have to check out what happened is Saturday and Sunday. You have the spike or you have the bandwidth peak out. Someone might go to the company, use the company network to download. If you allow it, it's okay. Or someone might connect to your network. Okay. The next one on the top, 2 a.m. You can see that 2 a.m. 2 a.m. is normal, right? Not that much bandwidth. But what happened is spike up at 8. Yeah, it's normal. 8 or before 8. Normal worker come to the company, open up the connector, connect to the internet, is bandwidth spike up. Normal. And the bandwidth will come down during this time. Okay, this is some of the tools. So if you have to design the network, you have to consider to monitor the bandwidth. Am I monitoring the bandwidth in my home all the time? I can show you. Oh, sorry. So I have to stop this one. Sorry. So I have the software that I normally design things at home as well. This one. So I keep monitoring the bandwidth of my internet connection without times, but rather than I monitor like in a company, like they monitor every 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or 1 minute. I normally monitor every hours. So this is like, for example, someday the bandwidth fall, the ISP drop off. So this is the LS or the latest speed test that I can get. So I use the speed test as well, but rather than using a view, I kept the record. I monitored it. And this is my home. I can show many places. Okay. On the software that I use is actually Home Assistant. Have you ever heard it? Doesn't matter. Okay, come back to the network monitoring. So for the network monitoring, we normally have 2 techniques. Whatever that you go to monitor the performance or you go to monitor the security. The first thing we call the active monitoring. And the second thing we call the passive monitoring techniques. And we do have third one, it's called hybrid. Many of the commercial software they're using both. So what the active and passive mean? For the active monitoring, okay, it means that whenever that if we want to find something on the internet, we have to inject something on the internet to find the information. For example, I've been www.kmitl.ac.th and I can get the Lao Tik Tan. Is one of the network monitoring tools. So what it means, I inject some packets into the network from my computer to www.kmitl.ac.th. Once I send the ping message out, I measure the time. When they respond back, I start the clock. So I measure the Lao Tik time. So it means the response time. So this one means the lower is mean the faster response. It means the better. If I ping the order, www.syr.edu. SYR is stand for Syracuse University. Is my master degree long time ago, 1994. Very long time. So it's another university in New York, in Syracuse, New York, in US. So you can see that the time is almost 3,000 milliseconds, which is we have longer distance right from Thailand to US to New York. But it's just 4 milliseconds because KMITL and AC at the end, it's just that building, right? So the lower is the faster in this side. Now we can find some network information. So we measure some information performed. So with this beam is one of the network monitoring tools. This kind of network monitoring we call active, because we have to send something into the network to measure or to prove the network characteristic that we wanted to. Okay, I show you another one. You know this one? You know this one? This speed test. How does the speed test work? I open the client speed test here. After that, the client connects to the server. And after that one, I download big file from the server to my client. It's big data. And what? I measure the time that I finish to download the files on the amount of the data. And after that, I divide the amount of the data by the time that I download. So I got what? The speed. So what kind of this one? Active monitoring, right? We have to inject something into the network to measure the data that we need. Okay. So do we have the other things? Yes, of course. For security, for example, have you ever heard about the Nessus? Today, we're going to talk about the Nmap as well. The Nessus is one of the penetration test too. This is we going to learn. And it's normally feed up the attack pattern into the IP or into the server that we want to check. Most of the pen tests, they buy Nessus yearly subscription. And they always update their attack pattern to the Nessus. And after that, if you want to check this server, they feed the database at the definition to the server and check out if the server has vulnerability to be able to be attacked. So they feed something into third network. This one was security. Do we have the other thing else? Yeah, of course. Another one that we have. Do we have? Another one that we do have, we have the passive. So what the passive mean? We're not going to send something. We're going to set it. And we're going to have a look of the data that come to our network. Take the data and use math or use statistics to keep the data and calculate the thing that we needed. For example, I have a computer here. I have another computer here. I used the tool called, have you ever used the tool called Wireshark? No. So we're going to explain about the Wireshark tools as well. Wireshark is typically called the network sniffer. What does the sniff mean? Sniff. So the network sniffer is mean sit there, they sniff the data into itself and use the data to calculate the things. So it's normally they sniff the data and analyze the data without setting any packet to make some interference with the network traffics, That one is called passive. Do we have network monitoring as a passive for security? Yes, the antivirus. Anything that comes into your computers is sniff the data, is passive, see the data and say that, hey, this traffic is not good, this traffic is not good. It's not sending anything else. So the tool that we not sending something, but take the data from the network and analyze on the data, we call those come as a passive. Okay. So basically, network monitoring tool, we monitor performance and security. But whatever that we're going to monitor, we're going to separate that one into passive or active. Okay. And the third one, most of the commercial tool that we use is both in using passive and active to measure the data from the network. So the one that I just showed you, this one is one of the passive. that the software normally be installed on the router and passively monitor the incoming and outgoing traffics. Okay, and keep the record. Some of the tools, I try to find it out. Then I'll show you in the software. IP task, over IP task monitors. Okay. Don't worry, don't worry. You're going to play around with yourselves as well. For some of the network monitoring tools, simple one too. The NTOP, for example, is monitoring the CPU load of the server. Monitors. This shows up. PRTG, this is a lot of software. So I'm not going to go to like a lot of software. If you really want to go around with monitoring software, there are tons of them on the internet. It depends on what network characteristic that you want to monitor. You can Google or you can ask me later. Okay. I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna close this one. So the last week you download this one already, right? Ping. So what type or what technique that the ping use, I explained you already, is trying to find out the logarithm of the network. And the type or the technique of these two is what? The active. Okay. You can have a look and read on this to junior second year sheet. I'm gonna go to the other one, the NetStack. Remember from the last time that I asked you, how many of you familiar with normal common tools, command tool on LV computer that we do have called network statistic? This network monitoring tool, this monitoring tool is passive. Only on that devices only. So let's just check some of the NetStack. In order to run the NetStack, we have to run the NetStack as the admin. It's otherwise you won't get many things on the NetStack. Okay. The first thing that I wanted you to learn, okay, you just go and call the NetStack here. And after that, it's going to find out the network statistic that it kept on my notebook. So it means that my notebook IP address is 10.11.26. And I open the port to this server. So this one means I can know that what port that I open to the outside world. My port is currently open to the outside world. Okay. Do we have the other things? Okay, I'm going to show you big one. So I don't want to go like until it's finished, but I want to go with this one. You can download the sheet. So this one here, I monitor. Yeah. I monitor the application or the program that open up the connection to the outside world of my computers. So you know that what application or what process that they occupy the port and open up and talk with the other outside server. So if you want, okay, I want to cancel, you can have a read or you can use nested and question marks. I can show you this one is statistic of the number of bytes that I receive and send out from my computer since I open up the computer and the other information. We do have network monitoring tool on our device. Every device we do have this one. And you're supposed to know how to use this simple tool that is already in your computer already. Okay. Question. This is some of the example. Network monitoring tools. Question. I'm going to show you the other tools, but I'm not going to go deeply into the details. If you can download on the website, you can download on the website. It's second year lab sheet, okay, but it's almost like a book already. I've written down a lot of things. Every year, I put things down. Okay. So I'm not going to go like deeply into the detail. One of the interesting thing is this one, to map the process IDs as well. But like it, also ID. Okay, the next tool that you have to know is called Nmap. How many of you have ever used Nmap? The network mapping. This tool is active. So it's time to find out the network mapping and is active. For those who are hackers, or for those who are the pen test engineer, whenever that they want to test the network or hack into the network, the first thing that both of these field will do is to do we call the reconnaissance. What is the reconnaissance mean? What is the reconnaissance mean? If we're talking about the army, then we have the reconnaissance unit, right? This unit, normally you have to send them to get some information. In Thai, we call หน่วยลาดตระเวนนะครับ So the first thing, either the pen test engineer or the hacker will do on the network, they call the reconnaissance. So they have to find out the network mapping of what active IP are available on this target network. First thing, hacker or the pen test engineer, or we call the black hat or the white hat, and they have the word. The black hat means the hacker, the white hat means you have to find and help them on the back. So the reconnaissance is mean you have to find the network mapping or the inventory or the active IP or the active device, the network target network. And all of them, they know how to use the first tool called Nmap. The Nmap is the tool that you can freely download and install on your devices, Mac, Windows, or Linux. Since we don't have the time, I'm going to explain, not going to show the whole things, okay? But you need to know. So once you install the Nmap, okay, you can scan. Normally, the Nmap will do to find the active IP. The first thing, reconnaissance. We scan the whole network. And the thing that we scan the whole network is use the Nmap. Scan bit. S stands for scan, P stands for ping. I explained a lot on this lab sheet. If you need to have a lead, I'm quite sure that you will get a lot of information and you will know how to use Nmap properly too. Just like in this slide sheet. Okay, followed by the IP address link. You know what the /24 means, right? We learned it already. It means the whole class C. So we scan the whole class C IP link. So this one is the first point. Most of the hacker or most of the white hat or black hat will do the same thing. The reconnaissance and we use it. Once we find out the active IP address, now we scan the open port. For example, I find out 10 IP addresses on the department network. And I find out that one of the IP address is the printer or database server. So now I scan the port and the OS. So we normally use the first thing, the Nmap -O, followed by the active. We find the active IP already, right? By using /SP, we find the names of the IP. And after that, we get one of the IP, find the OS. So we know that this is Windows, this is server, this is printer. And after that, you can find the OS plus the port that you open. -4 is mean the fingerprints of that specific target IP. So you will know that what service that they open it up. You can see it here. What service that they open it up at what port and what OS that they are using. And lastly, where is it? The Nmap provide vulnerability test. But the definition of vulnerability is not big as the Nessus. So they have the database online and they're going to feed up the attack pattern. And you can use Nmap to feed the attack pattern to attack into a specific IP to test if there can be cracked by those definitions that the people publish. So the last one is to attack. Do I use the Nmap? Yes, many times to find out available networks, available active IP on my network, find out the open port. And sometimes I just curious if the server can be hacked. Nmap, definition of vulnerability test of Nmap is not that big compared to Nessus. Nessus is one of the biggest, one of the software that we have to pay as well. You can install Nessus as well for free, student use it. But the maximum IP that you can use is 10 IP address. After that, you have to pay. But if you keep using this 10 IP, you can scale it. And I don't know if they checked. The last time that I checked is 2 years already. The definition is 15 days delay. For example, if you subscription 1 million baht a year, if the team of the Nessus find out that they are one of the methods you can hack into the bank account, they will update definition directly into the NS server at your office and you can test it directly. But if you not pay, this definition will be 15-day delays. If you are the bank, 15 days delay is crucial. If you are the student, I don't care. The definition can be 15-day delays. If you are stock exchange, just 24 delay is crucial, is important. But if you are student, 15-day delays doesn't matter. I don't care. I just want to sign. Okay, this is one of the two called Nmap. Okay. They do have the fancy version or the application version already, which is we do have the GUI too. So you install the Nmap and you can use the GUI to run them or use the whole application to run them as well. But the core is Nmap. Do I use this one? Yeah, I use to present. But normally when I use, I familiar with the command line already, and the software is very small. Yeah, with the command line plus the user interface, it's not that big, that's all. But I've been using this one for 10 years, so doesn't matter. This one is look nice, yeah, of course. I can use this one to present to your company. If you want to use, it's up to you. You can use the graphic user interface rather than command line. The other application, I even write down how the Nmap work for each specific things. Okay, if you really want to study more, you can have a lead on the sheet. The class is to give you the idea, but if you want to dig down, it's up to you. You can come and ask me as well. But this one is, I told you already from your juniors class. Okay. The last one that I wanted to show you, of course, you can download the whole software as well. And it exactly. So it can find inventory, which is we call the reconnaissance. See, the open port, and so on and so forth. If you want, you can download this too. 4 years ago, it was free, but I don't know if it's still free for this software. It might be the other softwares as well. But Nmap is still a free and always free. Okay. That is the example of the network monitoring tools, which is depend on what data or what network characteristic you want to monitor. You can monitor performance, speed, you can monitor throughput, you can monitor routing time. It's important to monitor. But you have to keep in mind, whatever that you monitor for the network engineer, you have to record it as well. Because after that, we have to analyze on the network data. The second thing, if you want to monitor, is the security is the same. You monitor, you have to keep the record. We want to analyze the data. We do have some example of network monitoring tools. I'm quite sure that many tools are fun for you to play around with them. But be careful, start with solid network that you might not affect to the other. For example, if you inject something to your dormitory dome, like poisoning that we talked last week, right? And if they find out that you cut out the network for the whole dormitory, you're going to get like 100 of them walk into and knock into your door and give you some kiss. Okay, so be careful when you use some of the tools that is might affect the other people, but they are fun to play around. Like I normally monitor the speed of the ISP all the time. I keep the record for 2 days or like 2 years already. Okay. Question? Any question? If you don't have any question, I'm going to ask you to download the DSCP. Remember that I promised you that we're going to talk about some week we're going to talk about protocol. I explain you how protocol works, and I point out the weak point of the protocols, how the hacker can get advantage on this weak point, and how are we going to protect it. Okay, this week we have spare time. Last week we have spare time. อุ๊ยดูดอีกแล้วเมื่อกี้กาแฟหกไปครึ่งแก้วกระตุกโน้ตบุ๊กผมจะเก่าแต่ยังไฟแรงอยู่5 ปีเลย So this week we're going to talk about one of the protocol called DSCP. วาเลนไทน์ปีนี้เมื่อวานเมียกลับบ้านมาแฟนผมเป็นหมอนะกลับบ้านดึกซื้อของขวัญวันวาเลนไทน์คืออะไรบ้างผมก็นึกว่าอะไรไม่ได้ของขวัญวาเลนไทน์ไม้ตียุงในห้องนอนยุงไม่ของมาก่อนเลยเขาคืนบอกว่ามาไล่ตีผมก็นึกว่าอะไรไม้ตีจัดที่คลาสโรแมนติกดีวะไม้ตียุงไฟฟ้าไม้แปะรู้จักไม้แปะป่ะโอเคกลับมา So what is the DSCP stand for? Can someone tell me what the DSCP stand for? The DSCP stands for the Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. If you want to download, the slide is in the Moodle. You can download it. Okay. So what do we do with the DSCP? Can someone tell me? Whenever the computer turns on, you have to try it when the computer turns on. The first thing called manual configuration. You turn the computer on, you configure IP manually, IP netmark, gateway, DNS. And you can connect to the internet. You have another choice called what? Automatic IP configuration, right? See, my Wi-Fi use obtain IP address automatically, or if I want, I can manually configure IP. How many of you are using manual IP configuration all the time? How many of you use obtain IP automatically? Raise your hand up. Me too. I don't want to configure all the time. Even at home, I turn on my mobile phone, I turn on my notebook, I turn on and so on and so forth. I obtain the IP automatically. I don't want to manually configure. But how are the automatically work? So normally whenever that the device turn on into a specific network, Wi-Fi or join to the cable, whatever network, is normally going to use the service called the DSCP service server, a dynamic port configuration protocol server. One of the very basics. So how does this work? The client turn on, and the client have to say that automatic IP configuration is made that it's known that I am now DSCP client. The client will send a message, broadcast the message called the DSCP discovery. So I turn on. Hello, I need IP and network information. Who are the server? It's broadcast. So it's go everywhere, but it's not go to across the router. The router can be configured as the relay to the other DSCP. It's called DSCP relay. I'm not going to go deep. Okay. So normally it says, hello, I need DSCP server. So the DSCP server will send a message that, hey, I am DSCP server. This is my IP. Second thing. Third thing, I need IP address and network information. The server, okay, have a look of the IP pool. Okay, use this IP address, subnet mark, this gateway, this DNS. And the client will use the information it you get from the DSCP server to configure itself. And the client can connect to the network. So basic 4 things. I do explain you reading. One, two, three, four, very simple. This is how typically the protocol DSCP works. So every network, even home that you are in home, your router are acting as DSCP server, right? We basically might call the NAT server, right? So normally they give the IP away for you to be able to configure your device automatically. Fourth step, DSCP discovery. Hey, with the DSCP? DSCP, hey, I am DSCP, this is my IP. Okay. I set the DSCP request. I need the IP and network information. DSCP look at the table and the pool IP address pool that they still have and send to them request of the client. Client automatically configure the IP and information, network information and connect to the network. That's a very simple protocol. Now, you see the problem? Okay. When you do the DSCP request, let's say, I need DSCP server. Okay. You don't pay along with me, pay by myself. So if I need DSCP server, right? Right. Turn on. I broadcast DSCP discovery. So normally we would have to reply back the DSCP server, right? But if I am a hacker and I detect the request, can I reply my fake DSCP server IP address? Yes, of course. Hey, I am DSCP. Now what happened? The client will have the IP address and the network information, right? And the gateway. I can say that I am the gateway. So anything will come to me first before it's go to the internet, before I forward that one to the real proper gateway. The second thing, I can change the DNS. You know what the DNS? The domain name service. Right? Normally people remember name. How many of you, when you go to the google.com, use the IP address rather than the word google.com? How many of you know Sanook.com? How many of you know Lazada? So how many of you use the IP address of Lazada rather than the Lazada to do shopping? Human remember name, right? But the machine use IP. So the DNS server is just really support to make the people exchange the name back to the IP that the computer will use. So when you put the URL name, it will ask the DNS server. DNS server will send back what? IP. And the computer will use the IP to connect to that destination. What happens if I can do man in the middle? I need the DSCP. Yeah, I am DSCP. I am hacker. I need IP and network information. I send the IP and network information, but DNS, I send it to my one. Now, if you want to connect to kbank.co.th, scb.co.th, you remember the name. I send my fake website of KBank or SCB or Bangkok Bank, and I provided my fake website. But I had DNS. So you never know that you've been farming before farming now. Because the IP address of this one has been shared because I am controlling the DNS server. This one of the weak point. Do we have the other thing? Yes, how can we do? Whenever they broadcast the DSCP request, I send that to the bottom thing. You never able to connect to the outside world or get the IP address at all. It's called poisoning. You see the point? How can we go to protect it? Can you tell me? For the app, we use the switch and we configure the managed switch. We call the port security configuration. And it's also support DSCP poisoning protections. So in this class, we don't have the ball config, the switch. Switch is we config switch before we config the router array. So this class we don't config the switch. We normally config the port option on the switch. And this has to be managed. And most of the managed switch, they will protect DSCP poison. Which means the first time you have to say that which port is going to be the port that DSCP located. If the other port do the weird thing by deploy the DSCP request, I'm normally going to turn the port off. Some good guys set up the limit. If they do weird thing more than 5 times, the 6th time they're not going to allow, but they can keep using the other thing. But for me, I turn off the port and let the user talk to the admin first. What happened when your computer send the DSCP or are poisoning out? You might say, I don't know. Oh, that's good. So now I can know that your computer has been compromised by some guy. You need to reformat or you need to kill some of the virus on your computer. So now you can help with one of the use. It's another protocol and it's another technique called DSCP poisoning. Okay, question. I explain the protocol, how the protocol works. I point out that there are some weak points that the hacker can take advantage of the weak point. I explain to you how to protect it. Most of the appliance nowadays they protect the usage, but you have to enable it when you configure the network, or you have to select it properly. If you are dormitory and you buy normal switch, not the managed switch, you can't protect it. Most of the dormitory allow the unit they change to managed switch already. Why? I พวกรอดวิชาลูกพี่คุณรอดแต่รอบๆมีเละเทะไปหมดเลยเปลี่ยนหมดเลย Okay. Question. Question. Have any question? Ah. Stop the call.